That's not for you. This is for me. That's for you.
Sweet.
And
Okay, we have a bid from the Fremont Motor Company in Lander, Wyoming. Thank you. The total bid amount is $79,170.83. I think that's all. That's good.
does this one need a bid bond?
I think I remember from
Mr. Beckwith. Point of clarification. We don't need a bid bond for this, correct? We don't. This doesn't require a bid bond.
I was just talking to Paul about that. I think under a certain amount, under Wyoming statute now, bid bonds are not required on vehicle bids.
Yeah, and that's I thought that was correct. Yeah, very good. Thank you. Our next bid is also from the Fremont Motor Company. With a note saying alternate revised bid black body dump truck with correct math. For a net bid amount of $68,466.63. I like that direction. We should do more of that.
Can you repeat that amount, Mayor? Please.
$69,366.63. Oh, I lied to you. $68,466.63.
I was going to say.
There's a $900 trade-in being offered. So that's the difference. Good? Okay. Do we have no other bids for the dump truck, taking us to the crack seal phase 2 project? Thank you. The first of those is from CKC Asphalt in Roosevelt, Utah. The bid amount is $132,759.90. $132,759.90. Yep, and there's the bid bond. The next is from, looks like CR Contracting in Bend, Oregon. Yep. CR Contracting in Bend, Oregon. Their bid amount is $213,560. $213,560. And there is a bid bond. Next up, we have asphalt preservation from West Haven, Utah. There's a bid bond. And the bid amount is $120,202. 120,202. And our final bid this evening is from R&D Sweeping and Asphalt Maintenance here in Rock Springs. The total bid amount is $76,434.20. $76,434.20. And there is a bid bond. Okay. So that's the end of our bid openings for this evening. We'll wait for staff to weigh in on those, which brings us to our presentations and proclamations. And first up, we have Candy Pendleton, the Executive Director of the Sweetwater Events Complex, with our summer events update.
Hello there. Thanks for having us. I'm going to actually turn this over to Bob Spicer. He's the chairman of our fair board.
Very good.
You
Welcome.
know, our season, or our big season, is just coming to an end now. And we really could not do that without the help of the city and the county and all of the people that help us out there. And all too often, we forget to come in and say thank you. And so I'm here tonight just to say thank you for everything that you've helped us with this year. We think we've got some good news that Candy's going to present coming up in that. But, you know, if it wasn't for the fire department and helping us out with our ambulance and the police department with the security and traffic and things at the fair, you know, all these things all add up. And we just would really like to thank you guys for everything that you have done for us out there. And we'll try to do our side too. But thank you very much for everything you've done, and as on behalf from the staff and also from the board. But thank you.
Well, thank you, sir. I know we all very much appreciate everything you do out at the fairgrounds.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to share with you some, I hope, successes from this summer, and you can see how these crazy events have impacted Sweetwater County and Rock Springs specifically. So real quick, we always start with our mission and our vision. So our mission is to provide and manage a wide range of quality year-round recreational facilities, services, and programs which enhance the quality of life and economic opportunities for the residents, businesses, and visitors of Sweetwater County. And that's going to go directly with some of the information I have to share with you tonight on the economic successes and public input into the events that we have going on out there. So, and our vision is to ensure a vibrant, well-maintained facility that offers space for social interaction, embracing change, celebrating people, and enjoying life. Keep pushing the wrong button. We try to work on 6 guiding principles, and we use these at all of our staff meetings and our board meetings. We look at them often. So public benefit, we want to make sure that what we're doing is a benefit to Sweetwater County and Rock Springs. We always want to make our facility as good as it can be. We know budgets are tough and capital is hard to come by, but we do the best with what we have. We try to support local, just like you all do. We try to buy local. We try to use local contractors as much as we can. We really take Sweetwater County for the beauty that it has and what we have to offer and showcase that to people that come into our area. It's something that's really important to us. We obviously live here because we love it, and we want people to appreciate it when they get here. We try to make anybody that steps foot on the grounds have a good positive experience, no matter what event you're out there for. There's so many different events, and some of them we host and some of them we put on ourselves, but either way, we try to make all of those successful and for you to enjoy yourself when you come out. And then we want to be an economic engine for Sweetwater County. So we had 5 big events this summer, one of them still going on, but we had the Escapade RV Rally, National High School Finals Rodeo, went right into fair, and then the Royal Crown Horse event, and then of course Sweetwater Downs Horse Racing, which is going on now. And we're going to talk to you about the economic impact of just those 5 events, so just the events in June, July, and August for the most part. So this slide is actually a sheet from the Wyoming Tourism's information. They do data every year on how much money people spend when they come in the state. It's 100+ pages of information, but they break it down county by county, which is really nice. So specific to Sweetwater County, this is how much overnight visitors spent when they made trips here in Rock Springs, Green River. So by party, we use this number a lot, they spend $225 per day. We don't know if there's 1 person in a camper or 5 people in a camper, but the average is $225 per day. So you'll see that several times on this slide. So the first event we had was the 63rd Escapade RV Rally, the Escapees group. So this is them enjoying a concert in the pavilion one evening. They were here in June, so they got to experience a little winter, a little spring, and a little summer when they were here. So they sort of got the gamut of things. So this was a little chilly. You'll see a lot of these people come from Arizona, and they're out there in their parkas like we've invited them to the Antarctic or something. But and they really do have a great time when they're here. And I hope that you saw these folks walking around the community and enjoying restaurants and bars and things around town. But just a really fun group. And they're here because they're part of this Escapade group, but they're also just here to have a great time. They're on vacation, right? So they have a great time when they're on the grounds, and then we try to send them out to do things that we love in Sweetwater County. So the numbers for that event break down that Sweetwater County brought in $886,500 is what people spent in Sweetwater County when they were here for this rally. So we hosted this event in 2021 originally, and they came back for 2024, and we were in talks for them to come back for another cycle. I will say proudly that every RV rally that we've had has come back at least once, and we're in talks with those people to come back on a rotating basis, so they do love it here. But volunteers and staff began arriving on May 13th. They spent about a month just preparing things and getting ready. The pre-rally began on June 13th. Rally ran from June 16th through the 21st, and then we allowed them to stay or encouraged them to stay through the 4th of July. So we had 429 RV units, actually one of the smaller rallies we've had in the last couple of years, but still with a decent impact. 3,819 rally nights, and 121 people stayed to stick around for at least a night or two. So we're proud of that number. Like I said, 10 days or so in June, $886,000 spent directly in our community. And obviously, Sweetwater County, Rock Springs, Green River, but we know that a lot of that's spent in Rock Springs, right? Then we went into the National High School Finals Rodeo, and unless you didn't venture out in those 10 days, I think it would be hard to argue that there wasn't a big impact in Rock Springs because there were trucks and trailers and people everywhere. So a couple of things that I want to mention. I know a lot of you know this, but the National High School Finals Rodeo has a shooting sports program. It's one of the fastest growing sports that they have, and they shoot both long rifle and trap. So they shoot long rifle at the Green River Shooting Range, and they do trap at Sweetwater County Trap Club. And because those don't happen on our facility and they don't get the crowds that everybody else gets, I think a lot of people forget that happens out there, but it's a lot of kids, and it's a big impact, and it brings Green River and Sweetwater County into the mix a little bit more. And then, of course, the rodeo events that happened on the facility. So 2024 for the National High School Finals Rodeo was record-breaking in every single way. 1,829 contestants. We started at 1,400 and some when we started hosting this event in 2012, so a substantial increase. Almost 2,500 entries. 2,250 stalls, which means for those of you that helped us check those horses in, there were 2,250 horses that we had to check brand inspections and health papers and all that good stuff. So 2,250 on stalls, 52 states, provinces, and countries. And then the number that I'm most proud of is the scholarship number, which is $365,000, or just short of that in scholarship money. So this is where we come to you all and the City of Rock Springs and all that you do for us. And Bob Spicer mentioned this, but I wanted to call out the three groups that spent a lot of time out there with us. So Rock Springs Fire Department, I said it to anybody that wants to listen, I think we would have been in big trouble without the fire department and your willingness to purchase ambulances. I don't know how we could have pulled off the number of people we needed to have out there and the hours that it took to make that happen. So huge thank you to you. Huge thank you to Rock Springs Fire Department. They just did a great job. Rock Springs Parks and Rec puts together the volleyball tournament for us. They set up the nets. They handle all the garbage and pickup over there. We have volunteers that run referees, but the kids have a blast. They run four fields for a couple of days and bracket that out and just have a great time. So we had that at Wataha Park, and it was fantastic. So thank you again. And then Rock Springs Police Department does a lot for us for lots of different events, but during National High School, we had a lot of traffic issues and some other crazy things that happened out there, but they were great to work with, and then, of course, that continues through the fair. So thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Appreciate all of you. National High School Finals rodeo numbers are $11 to $12 million of impact in the 10 days that they're here. So I did 2 calculations up there. You can see real fast. Both of them are based on a 2012 economic impact study that we had done. So in 2012, which was the first year we hosted, it was estimated to bring in $7.5 million. 37% inflation since 2012, which none of us want to hear, but all of us can believe, right? So 37% inflation, and then the numbers have grown by 24%, takes that economic impact to $12.1 million. I did a second calculation just to see where the numbers would fall, and we had 84,000 visitor days in 2012. Again, you take that 24% increase, and then all of a sudden you have $11.1 million. So somewhere between 11 and 12 million in impact for July. And then, of course, the fair, and I know I saw a lot of you out there, but 4-H and FFA activities were fantastic. I'll give you a little information on the livestock auction when we get through here, but we were sold out of vendor and concession booths. We had great family entertainment, great concerts. Again, you had to pick and choose, right? Some of the music wasn't for me, but I enjoyed all of it, and some of the family entertainment was a little cheesy, but some people loved it. So we try to do a little bit of everything, but I think we had 5 days of fantastic weather, and the community really came out and showed their support, which was nice. So economic impact for Wyoming's Big Show, and this is based on some other fairs that do economic impact numbers, was a little over $4 million. And this is where I had mentioned to you, the youth livestock auction brought in almost $600,000 to Sweetwater and Daggett County youth. And most of those people put that money in to purchase an animal again for next year and then into scholarship funds. So that's impressive. Yes.
Interrupt you real quick. Wasn't that like a 10% or 20% increase over last year or something?
Our numbers?
On the livestock auction?
Yeah, it was 420 or 440 last year.
That was quite a bit of increase on that
Yeah,
alone.
huge
That was great
increase.
to see. Yeah.
So, and Sweetwater County historically has always come out for the livestock auction, and certainly it ebbs and flows a little bit, but we are always, towards the top of the state. So that number is really impressive. And then, of course, we know 20% of our guests for the fair come from out of county. So they're coming in and typically coming for the concerts and spending the night. So those people are spending money in our community as well. So again, it's just been a really fun summer, and we appreciate all of you, and we hope you came out to enjoy things. Couple of pictures of Kids Day. Boy, I feel like I'm giving these guys a lot of accolades tonight, but I guess that's what we're here for, right? Kids Day on Wednesday is one of my favorite days. If you haven't been out for Kids Days, the last couple of years we've given 5,000 kids tickets out. So every child in Sweetwater County and Daggett County that's under the age of 12 gets a free ticket to come on Kids Day. And the community really comes up. So Rock Springs Police Department and the Sheriff's Office are out there all week patrolling. They pair up, like the photo shows, with one of each, and they're great. You see them out there talking to people and visiting, and they're just trying to make sure everybody's safe and not causing trouble, right? Fire department does a really fun obstacle course in the grass for the kids. That's what the photo is, with the young boy getting to shoot the fire hose, which was fun. Wyoming Highway Patrol does a drunk driving deal. Did anybody try it? So you get on those scooters, that little, pedal scooter thing that guy has, and you put on these drunk driving goggles that would give you a migraine in about 2 minutes because you're so distorted, right? But then you have a little course that you have to go on, and they have cones up and a sign and a little pet dog, and right? And you're trying to make it through the roads with drunk driving, and it's really impactful, and I just think it's something that kids can do and enjoy, but actually learn a little something from. So, and then just regular traffic control out there. We couldn't do it without everybody's support, and we know that you guys up there on the bench are the ones that allow that to happen also. Just a couple of compliments, because we often don't hear them, and I think they're not only for the events complex, but for our community as a whole. So concerts are always popular. That's what the first one is about. The second is from a vendor here in Rock Springs. That's actually Spa Worlds, and they had not been to the fair in 8 years and came back this year as a vendor, and they were very complimentary about how much it costs to be a vendor out there, what their tickets and their package included, how the facility was set up, and the community itself coming out to support them when they were there. So I thought that was worth sharing. And then seeing so many smiling kids, parents, grandparents, and everyone having so much fun. I just love that comment. I love the fact that there's kids out there from birth to 90, right? It's just a great community event. And then if you didn't do silent disco, I put the commission on call this morning, and I'm going to do the same thing here. If you did not go check out silent disco this year in the pavilion, you have got to put it on your list. It was one of the coolest things we have had out there. Again, there's 3 DJs playing music, and you could be listening to Elvis Presley on one channel and Dr. Dre on another channel, or I don't know, somewhere in between, but it was really cool. So if you did not try it this year, it starts at 8:30. You don't have to stay up like super, super late. But you go up there and throw the headphones on and pick the station that you want, and it's just a really cool experience. So I would recommend that you do that. And then a couple other compliments on there. Just some photos, again, of all the different ages and people enjoying things, and sort of something for everyone. Then we had 1 day break and moved right into the Royal Crown with about 1,300 horses on site. So we had some big barrel racing, team roping, and breakaway roping. They pay about $2 million out in payout for this event. It has become one of the premier events in the country. And there are some numbers for you on that. So immediately after the fair for this 10 days to 2 weeks, $420,000 spent in our community. And horse racing is underway. It's been going for a couple of weeks, goes until the end of September. It's $5 to come and watch. So if you all haven't been out to see horse racing, I would tell you that it's worth coming out to check out. But the biggest thing for horse racing for us is historic horse racing revenues. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse a little bit when I talk about this, but because we have live horse racing, we can have historic horse racing machines in our county and in our city, and you guys approved those. So those numbers are revenues directly back to the cities and county from historic horse racing. So the first half of 2024 brought in $579,000 to the city of Rock Springs. So you're looking at $1.1.5 million in 2024 from historic horse racing figures. And it just continues to grow. So those numbers went up 24% last year, and they're up 16% this year. So I know in tight budget years that money is worthwhile, and certainly something that we want to hold on to. So the total economic impact for the 2024 summer events is $18.5 million. And like I said before, and you all know, a good majority of that would be spent right here in Rock Springs.
Thank you, Candy. Council, do you have any questions or comments?
Comment, sir. I don't know how you guys do it. You're handing out compliments. We're going to hand out a compliment to you, because the turnaround from National High School Finals to the fair to Royal Crown, it's impressive.
Thank you.
It's impressive.
We have an awesome staff, a very awesome staff of hardworking people.
Councilor Zadi?
Yeah, I just wanted to, this weekend, my dad runs the Avis and budget rental car up at the airport. And so I was washing cars for him this weekend. We talk about how these events bring people to our community, and we hope that they stay for a certain period of time. I washed a car this weekend that had an Escapees sticker on it, brand new. It was a new sticker, something to identify they had in the windshield, probably for parking or to get in or something. They had some Escapees material, marketing material in there, material from the fair. So they were here for a long time. That car was just returned Saturday, Sunday. So they spent pretty much their whole summer here, this particular group. And if there's one, there's more. And so it's just great to see those events come to our community and bring the people that they do. And I do know, it's just being on the fair board, I'm out there at some of these events and talking to the people like the Escapees and those who are attending, and the compliments I get time and time again about just the staff. And they really are a good first impression for our community. People always have good comments about how they've been treated, the help they get, they receive, and the maintenance of the facility and everything else. And that just reflects really well on the city of Rock Springs too. So I just really appreciate everything you guys do out there.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
So to kind of echo what Rob is saying about the staff that you've got and how much you praise your staff, typically when your staff is able to make that many people happy, it starts at the top. So well done on you and your upper staff for being able to demonstrate what is expected and everything from the people, down on the line. So well done.
I would argue that has a lot to do with the board.
Your Honor, one more comment.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, Candy. If
Sure.
there was one improvement or two improvements that could be done out there to enhance things even more, what would it be?
So we are currently doing a master plan right now with all of those things on it, right? I think our biggest issue right now is in 2011 and 2012, we built what we call the Midway Pavilions, or those tent structures back behind that were supposed to be temporary structures. And we're going on 12 years with those temporary canvas structures. So we utilize those for every summer event, every large event that we have to a certain scale, anywhere from banquets to vendor space. So I think doing something permanent to solve that problem would probably be at the top of the list. But then there's also just smaller projects that we could do as funding comes along. So that facility was built in 1976. A couple of our buildings are still 1976 buildings. So I think just some small improvements to the buildings as we go along would be huge. But those two things would be my biggest concerns.
And a conference center, hotel.
Yes.
That's
We
what
have
I
a
was-
location for that. It's in the master plan.
All right, Matt, you find us the money and we'll make it happen.
Yes.
Anyone else?
No, I'm fine.
I do have to compliment you. I heard more people talking about the silent disco, I think, than about anything else out there. And I watched from afar, but I did not participate. So maybe next year.
You have to next
Yeah.
year. And it was all ages too. I was a little intimidated when I first went up there, but if you go at 8:30, you don't feel quite as bad as if you go at midnight.
I was afraid I was going to break a hip, so I didn't get out.
Yeah. You can stand on the grass. Don't stand on the concrete.
In this day and age of people with cell phones and video cameras, you're not going to catch me dead.
Yeah, I regrettably dance about as well as Elaine from Seinfeld.
We love that.
So yeah, it's not a pretty look. But thank you, and thank you, Mr. Spicer.
Thank you.
Okay, so that brings us to our proclamations. First one for this month is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. An estimated 15,780 children younger than 19 in the United States are diagnosed with cancer each year, including more than 15 Wyoming children. An estimated 1,600 deaths from cancer occur in the United States each year in children younger than 19, with approximately 7 Wyoming children losing their battle in 2022 alone. Cancer affects children and young adults differently from cancer that arises later in life, as their bodies are still developing, and even the side effects of the cancer treatments themselves can cause more harm to their maturing systems and organs than they do to adults. Parents have reported that they resigned or reduced their work hours after a childhood cancer diagnosis and have experienced financial instability due to rising medical bills and added costs of travel. September is observed internationally as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Max Mickelson, Mayor of the City of Rock Springs, do hereby declare the month of September 2024 to be Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and encourage our citizens to help raise awareness for pediatric cancer and to support programs such as Jason's Friends Foundation. They give financial and emotional assistance to the victims and their families. And I don't believe that anyone is here. Is anyone here this evening? Yeah. Would you like to come up and address us?
Hi, my name is Alyssa. I honestly don't know what I'm doing here. I was told to be here on the behalf of Jason and Friends, and so that is what I'm here to do. What exactly, are there questions, or is there something that I need to go over, or?
Usually we just invite folks who belong to or support one of the groups that we're doing our proclamation for to share any information they would like to share. I'll open it up to the council if they have questions for you, and then we will give you the proclamation. And it's really just voluntary, whatever you'd like to share.
Okay, and does the council, meaning you guys, do you guys decide whether or not Jason and Friends gets funding? How does that work? It's just awareness, just to build awareness, is that all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, like I said, I wasn't prepared. I had asked Jason and Friends. Jason and Friends helped our family quite a bit. And I asked, I'm like, do I need to prepare anything? They said, no, just show up. So here I am, I'm showing up.
Very good.
I have 3 kids. My youngest, he just turned 5. He was diagnosed with brain cancer at 4. And yeah, Jason and Friends just really supported our family during that time. They helped us with bills. I was in the hospital for a very long time. My husband worked through the entire time, but we are still facing those challenges. Like everything that you spoke about, it's all true. I mean, you couldn't have said it better than what I can say. It's challenging. It's horrible. But Jason and Friends is definitely a foundation to support. If that is something that is weighing on anybody's heart or heard about Jason and Friends, it is really a true blessing to families. And they still support us in the sense of, because my son, he's 5 now, he has to go get scans now it's turned into every 4 months. Anyway, it's a whole process. But when we go down there to travel to primaries, Jason and Friends helps us with gas. They help us with lodging, and any food that we spend. We can turn in receipts, and they take care of everything. So we wouldn't have been able to survive without that program. And I'm just really grateful for Jason and Friends, the group of girls there that work through that program they are amazing. They truly are. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's about it. Does anybody
Your
have
Honor.
questions? I don't know.
Yes, sir.
I was just going to say there may be quite a few people watching or listening that aren't aware of Jason and Friends. Can you kind of give us an idea of what the entity is? Are they local? Is it national? And where might people be willing or able to donate?
Yeah, so to my understanding, Jason and Friends is a Wyoming program. So anybody that lives in Wyoming that is going through I don't want to say terminal illness, but a serious illness such as, cancer. And it's targeted towards cancer, I believe. And if you have a child that's going through treatment, things like that, they step in and they take care of your rent. They take care of your all the important bills, not groceries, but anything to keep your house going. So anybody that lives in the state of Wyoming has benefit to that. And they go, they'll help you pay down your medical bills during treatment. They're pretty amazing. I don't know. Did I answer your question?
I think pretty much.
I-
I mean, if you've got any contact information, I mean, I think that's probably something that we could share. But so
Okay.
I've never heard of Jason and Friends before, so I'm a little bit, in the dark on it.
I hadn't either.
I've
Yeah.
heard of, like Ronald McDonald House, when you've got kids that stay at primary that, gives opportunities for people to have a free place to stay, but I'd never heard of it. So it's new information for me and probably new information for a lot of people that might be willing to, give time or funds to that.
There's a great website at jasonandfriends.org.
jasonsfriends.org.
jasonsfriends.org.
Yeah, it was a family created the organization. They had a child that had passed from cancer, and they dealt with, the financial hardship, just day-to-day living, and so they created this foundation so they could help. Really, I believe their goal is that no parent, no family should have to go through anything like this, but if they do, then they'll be supported through, many ways. I mean, they've even offered like mental health therapy for my whole family, which I have not taken advantage of yet, but they do a really amazing job. But yeah, they do work with Ronald McDonald House, but mostly they just help you get a hotel. If we can get Ronald McDonald, but it's a whole process. But yeah, I didn't hear about it either until I went to primaries and went through this. Primaries has like pamphlets But I believe they're based out of Casper.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe mid-90s is when they started, and they are based out of Casper, Wyoming. A family was caught bringing their son to and from Denver, and the burden that they had with that, I think, is what sparked the need and the realization for how they could help the community, and that's what it's grown to a statewide thing, which is really great to see. So, thank you for the information.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think you did a wonderful job for not being prepared. So thank you.
Winged it great.
All right,
job.
Thank you. Do you need me to stick around or?
No, just come take a picture.
I would have known there were pictures that would have worn tie.
Just like all yours.
That boy's like, nope. The boy's like, nope.
I don't need a Kodak moment.
Okay. Next up, we have a proclamation for Hunger Action Month. Is there anybody here for that? Okay. Hunger and poverty are issues of vital concern in Wyoming, where 14.4% of people face hunger in Wyoming, and 1 in every 5 children do not know where their next meal will come from. Everyone needs nutritious food to thrive, and in every community in America, people are working hard to provide for themselves and their families. Yet in 2022, 44 million people, 1 in 7, including more than 13 million children, 1 in 5, faced food insecurity in the U.S. That includes 83,780 neighbors in Wyoming. The City of Rock Springs is committed to taking steps to combat hunger in every part of our community and to provide additional resources that those in Wyoming need. The City of Rock Springs is committed to working with the Food Bank of Wyoming, a member of the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks, in educating people about the role and importance of food banks in addressing hunger and raising awareness of the need to devote more resources and attention to hunger issues. 14.9% of individuals in Sweetwater County are food insecure. The members of the Food Bank of Wyoming distributed more than 8.7 million meals across Wyoming in 2023 through its network of food pantries, soup kitchens, shelters, and other community organizations. The month of September has been designated Hunger Action Month in order to bring attention to food insecurity in our communities and to enlist the public in the movement to end hunger by taking action, including volunteering, social media sharing, and donations, to ensure every community and everybody in it has the food that they need to thrive. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Max Mickelson, Mayor of the City of Rock Springs, do hereby declare the month of September 2024 to be Hunger Action Month in the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and encourage all of our citizens to attend events held by the Food Bank of Wyoming throughout the month of September to bring awareness and help end hunger in our community. And I would note, I don't know that lots of people are necessarily aware of this, but our Sweetwater County School District number 1 has the highest rate of free and reduced lunch participation in the state, barring 2 very rural school districts. So in our community, we have a lot of children who depend on the school to provide the majority of their nutrition. And so it is certainly an issue that we face. Any comments from council? Okay. Next up, we have Hispanic Heritage Month. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak to this?
Ooh.
It was a good save.
It was part of the act.
Hi, my name is Rosa, Council Mayor. I'm here with Equality State Policy Center. I'm the Civic Engagement Director. My job is to work with the Hispanic and Latino community, raise awareness around your jobs and what you do. We advocate for fair elections and transparent government. And until a few years ago, we realized that we are missing an entire population of folks. So we launched the CHAIR Project, and the CHAIR Project, that's exactly what we do. We make sure that everything is available for folks in the language that they need, if they need it. We're going into our third year. Due to this work, Rock Springs has been seen as the leaders, not only for our Spanish agenda, but also our businesses in town. Other folks across the state notice that we have a lot of Hispanic-owned businesses here, and we have a lot of support for them. So we're just here to celebrate our community.
Yeah.
I'm here as the emotional support friend, but I also wanted to say thank you for proclaiming September as Hispanic Heritage Month. Like she said, it means a lot to us, and it really highlights the contributions and spirits of the Hispanic community in our city. So your support makes a big difference and helps us all and feel more connected and included. So once again, thank you for this meaningful recognition.
Thank you. Council?
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
Rose also serves on our URA board that she didn't mention, and she does a great job, and she's very active and great suggestions, and anyway.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, Rosa's involved in everything.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would agree. You know, there's a certain group of people that you typically see involved in stuff, and Rose is definitely one of the people that are, that's out there more than anybody else. And with Rock Springs, motto being the city of 56 nationalities, I think that the Hispanic community is really kind of underrepresented, and I'm glad that downtown Rock Springs is kind of taking that and leading with it. And I realize that I don't look very Hispanic, but if it were based on the amount of Hispanic food that I eat, I think that it would be. I'm just so glad that you're here and helping out with everything in the community, not just this aspect, but you're a big part. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Well, you guys are all invited to the carne asada.
Okay. The city of Rock Springs is known as the home of 56 nationalities. Hispanic Heritage Month is observed every year from September 15th through October 15th, which celebrates the histories, cultures, and contributions of those living in America whose ancestors came from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Central and South America. The month includes the Independence Days of several Latin American countries, including Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Mexico, Chile, and Belize. Members of the Latino community have made countless contributions to the United States economy and culture, serving in all branches of the armed forces as dedicated public servants and as leaders in education, healthcare, business, and entrepreneurship, among other professions. The CHAIR Project, launched by the Equality State Policy Center in 2022, has tirelessly worked to increase civic engagement and representation of Hispanic and Latino communities in Wyoming. The CHAIR Project will host its second annual Viva la Igualdad. How badly did I butcher that?
Amazing.
Okay, very good. Long Live Equality on Saturday, September 14th from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. at Bunning Park in Rock Springs. There will be local and statewide organizations that provide resources to community members, as well as local vendors selling their crafts and food, while local performers take the stage to perform and showcase their culture's heritage. The city of Rock Springs continues to advocate for the Latino community. We strongly believe that representation matters. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Max Mickelson, Mayor of the City of Rock Springs, do hereby declare the September 15th through October 15th, 2024, to be Hispanic Heritage Month in the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and encourage all of our citizens to attend Viva la Igualdad on Saturday, September 14th from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. in Bunning Park. I further challenge the community to inspire equity, create alliances, celebrate diversity, and establish safe environments in our schools and throughout Rock Springs. And the City Council and I will have a table at that event and hopefully get to visit with folks there. So if you'd all join us for a photo. Okay, our final proclamation of this evening is for Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. And if anyone feels comfortable and would like to speak to this, I certainly invite them to. They do not need to.
Mayor Mickelson and the City Council. I guess I feel a little more prepared knowing that you have to talk at this time, because when I came last time, I had no clue. My name's Kari Cochran, and I lost my son, Joran Cochran, to suicide on February 3rd of 2023. And I came before you through great conversations with you, Max. I really appreciate the fact that I was able to come and share information, concerns, and a strong desire to see change within the community to better support everyone within the community. And I was met with compassion, kindness, understanding, and commitment. I'm standing here now, and we have events that have progressed all through September, and people are getting more involved and having better conversations and asking more questions and understanding that it's okay to not be okay. And we're doing QPR training for kids, and kids are feeling more supported and understanding that it's okay to ask questions. And I've even had families and people reach out to me recently wanting to be able to figure out how to offer support of people that I lost when I was at a younger age, that I never felt it was appropriate, or I didn't know what to say and I didn't know how to say something because I didn't want to make them upset. And now I realize and recognize that, in fact, you don't want people to forget them, and you don't want anyone to be forgotten, or for a stigma to surround an episode of a 5-second decision that changes your entire life, and many lives that are impacted in the way that all of these things happen. And so I do want to stand here to be able to thank all of you for hearing me and making me feel heard and helping me feel a little less alone, because it's not always the response that you get when you ask for things or talk about things that are uncomfortable. And it wasn't always my experience. So I'm very thankful for that. 4 years ago, when Joran started to really struggle, he was a 16-year-old boy full of life and a driver's license and just loved things. My then 93-year-old grandpa gifted us this book. The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. And he thought it was a message that our entire family needed to hear. And he sent one to all of my cousins and everyone within our family. And I sat down, and reluctantly, my 16-year-old rolls his eyes and let me read him this story, as well as my daughter, Cambry. And I cried through the entire book. And I think within the book, there are so many messages that we need to take away every month, not only September, but there are many that hit for September, and they also hit with the experiences that I feel like I was given when I came here and when Max first gave the opportunity for us to have changes within the city. So I just want to read a couple of those little inserts to you. When have you been at your strongest? Asked the boy. When I have dared to show my weakness. Asking for help isn't giving up, said the horse. It's refusing to give up. Nothing beats kindness, said the horse. It sits quietly beyond all things. How do they look so together and perfect? Asked the boy. There's a lot of frantic paddling going on beneath, said the horse. So thank you for letting me frantically paddle. The greatest illusion, said the mole, is that life should be perfect. Do you have any other advice? Asked the boy. Don't measure how valuable you are by the way you are treated, said the horse. Always remember you matter, you're important, and you are loved. And you bring to the world things no one else can. And at the very end of the book, the author crosses out the end because it's look how far we've come. And I want to thank you for allowing the city to move forward and to have room to grow and to have the betterment of our community through conversations, connections, relationships, and continuing to push forth all of these things. When I hear the other proclamations and they touch on all of the mental anguish of having a child go through cancer, and all of these things are battles, and the fact that we can now have better conversations and provide resources to all aspects of how you might be struggling or you might need help, or even just knowing how to respond to somebody who might be questioning, and knowing that giving somebody 8 minutes might just make that difference in the day and might change the outcome for their life. So, thank you.
Thank you, Kari. Before I read the proclamation, I would just like to go over, and this is on the city's social media, and we'll continue to share it. September 10th, we're doing a QPR training. Well, Sweetwater Prevention is doing a QPR training for teens at the college from 6 until 7:30 p.m. September 12th, they'll be doing one for adults from 6 to 7:30 at Broadway Theater. On the 13th, the Sweetwater County Women's Club is donating money for a memorial bench at Bunning Park, and the Chamber will be there to help us celebrate that. On the 14th, the Episcopal Diocese is offering a faith-based suicide prevention training. On the 20th, we're doing a community resource fair, and Kari is actually working to help us gather up some baskets. So if, as a member of the public, you attend that event, you walk in, you'll get some tickets, you can put them in and have a chance to win baskets from local businesses. And that particular fair, we've included every community support resource that we could come up with has been invited. So not just mental health, but also food resources and other supports. And then the culminating event will be the Prosper training. Dr. Kent Corso is a clinician who specializes in suicide prevention, and his organization is contracted with the state of Wyoming through the governor's office to provide these trainings to communities at no cost to them. And that'll be from 6:30 until 8 p.m. at the Broadway Theater. And the hope is that we continue to grow this effort. Wyoming leads the nation in suicides per capita, and Sweetwater County is usually about 5th in the ranking for counties in the state. So we have a significant challenge where we clearly are not okay. And it takes an enormous amount of courage to be here and to speak. And whether you are speaking or just here as somebody who has lost someone to suicide, I really believe that is how we start changing the outcomes, is that we have these conversations and we no longer keep it in the dark and stigmatized, and just say, hey, this is happening, and we all have a duty and responsibility to work to make it happen less. So with that, September is known throughout the United States as National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, and is intended to help promote awareness surrounding each of the suicide prevention resources available to us in our community. Our goal is to learn how to help those around us and how to talk about suicide without increasing the risk of harm. Suicide prevention requires a comprehensive, multi-level approach that encompasses strategies for prevention, early intervention, treatment, and postvention after a death has occurred. Suicidal thoughts can affect anyone regardless of age, gender, race, orientation, income level, religion, or background. According to the United States Center for Disease Control, each year more than 41,000 people die by suicide. As such, it is the 10th leading cause of death among adults in the United States, and the 2nd leading cause of death among people aged 10 to 24. The city of Rock Springs, Wyoming is no different than any other community in the country, but chooses to publicly state and place its full support behind local educators, mental health professionals, athletic coaches, scout leaders, police officers, parents as partners in supporting our community simply by being available to one another. Every member of our community should understand that throughout life's struggles, we all need the occasional reminder that we are all silently fighting our own battles. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Max Mickelson, Mayor of the City of Rock Springs, do hereby declare September 2024 to be Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month in the City of Rock Springs. And we encourage all residents to take the time to inquire as to the well-being of their family, friends, and neighbors over the next month and year, and to genuinely convey their appreciation for their existence by any gesture they deem appropriate. A simple phone call, message, handshake, or hug can go a long way towards helping someone realize that suicide is not the answer. The community is encouraged to attend the scheduled events over the month to help raise awareness and skills to address as well.
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
before we get up for a picture, you'd mentioned QPR training. And for those who are listening and watching that may not know what QPR is, could you please explain?
It stands for Question, Persuade, and Refer. And it is an intervention strategy to help people when you're in that awkward moment. And, people often don't act or don't speak because they don't wish to make things worse. And it teaches them how to approach that through asking questions and trying to persuade the person and referring them to other resources for help. And it is always better to do something than to do nothing. You may not always get the outcome that you're hoping for, but if you do nothing and that happens, then you're left with the what ifs. And so it is a very short training. It does not require a huge time commitment, and it is certainly worthwhile. Prosper has been here earlier in August, and they did trainings for first responders and counselors and doctors. And we had over 88 folks in those various professions attend that training, and it was very highly spoken of. They got a lot of really good positive feedback. So we're very hopeful for that. And my understanding is they've contracted with the governor's office for 3 years. So we're going to invite them back at least annually, and hope that in a perfect world, we would have to turn people away because so many folks would want to come and participate in that, and we could have them back sooner because it is clearly a very critical issue. I went this morning to the county commission to go over our events with them, and also to formally invite them to collaborate with the city next year. And they were extremely receptive and very interested in participating, as they too are aware of what a sort of paramount issue this is for our community. Until we get a handle on this, at least from my perspective, I don't care how good the rest of the news is. If we're losing, 20 and 30 people in Rock Springs a year to suicide, we're not doing our jobs right. So, and I think we are now second in the nation for teen suicides behind Alaska. So we're also losing our children. And that is really something that every adult member of the community should be actively working to correct. Anyone else? Okay, very good. If you wouldn't mind. Anyone else who would like to join the party is more than welcome. Before we move on to petitions and public comment, I will say that I have been very encouraged because when we first started moving in this direction, I just sort of threw the pasta at the wall to every organization and every person that I could think of who could play a role in impacting the suicide rates in Sweetwater County. And every single one of them jumped at the chance. From the hospital to the chamber to Southwest Counseling to private therapists, no one who I asked to show up didn't show up. And so that means there's a lot of desire and energy towards addressing this, which I think speaks well of our community. And so I'm hopeful that we'll be able to make a pretty good impact. So with that, I'm going to open it up to petitions and public comment. If you'd like to address the city council and I, please approach the podium and identify yourself by your name and who, if any, organization that you represent.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. My name is Laura. I'm here to talk about the change to the ordinance regarding pets on leashes in the cemetery. I'd like to start by saying this is nowhere near as important an issue when compared to children with cancer, children dying by suicide, or children going hungry in our schools. But this is something that's very important to me, and I thank you all for your time tonight. I walk my dog in the cemetery on the leash basically every single day. She's very scared and reactive of other dogs. So when we walk on sidewalks and they come running at their gates, it scares her, it stresses me out. It's not very peaceful or fun to walk. Walking the cemetery paths is much more peaceful and stress-free for both her and me. The cemetery is also a really the only large green area that we can walk in town. The parks that allow dogs are very small in comparison. You have to make multiple laps in order to get a nice walk in. It gets a little bit boring, honestly. It requires multiple laps and it's just not as fun. I don't want to take her to the dog park because it's not very peaceful. Some dogs, again, she's scared of other dogs. She doesn't enjoy it, neither do I. Everyone who I ever see walking their dogs in the cemetery is incredibly nice. They're very nice, responsible, and respectful, and I walk there every day and hardly ever see dog waste anywhere along the paths. The actions of the few who may be irresponsible with off-leash dogs, which I rarely, if ever, see, to be clear, should not determine the fate of the many who responsibly walk their pets and enjoy the cemetery. Plus, there are stray dogs who may be leaving waste on or near graves, or the many, many deer who live in the cemetery are probably a lot of the culprits. If you're curious about the cleanliness of the cemetery, I would really invite you to take a walk around there and see for yourself, and you'll also see how peaceful it is and how welcoming everyone else is there. People are very nice to you as you walk past. You can make conversation. It's just a really nice place to walk the paths and enjoy the outdoors and the beautiful scenery that Wyoming offers. Passing this ordinance will be a benefit to those of us who live near the cemetery, who use these paths for a peaceful walk. It will also be a benefit to families who want to bring their dogs to visit past loved ones. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Council, any questions for her?
Your Honor, you don't mind?
Councilor Robinson?
So one of the things that has been a concern of some of the people that I've talked to is, dogs making messes on graves. And since the city is going to be providing, for lack of a better term, doggy bags, would you, as a dog walker in the cemetery, be willing to pick up after other people's dogs that may not have been as responsible as you are?
I certainly, if it's something that I see on my path, that's something that I would definitely try to do, especially if I saw it on a grave. There's something sometimes there's flowers that have blown off and you can't tell which grave they're from, and you might put them in the trash, or if you can tell, you might put them back in the grave that they were on. And so that's just part of being, a community-minded person and, wanting to see a beautiful space because, I don't want it to be taken away again.
Okay.
And so that would be something I would
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Anyone else?
Your Honor.
Councilor.
If I recall correctly, I think every park outside of the cemetery is open to dogs now, correct? Unless there's water. It's all but a couple, I guess.
Okay. The closest one to me is Budding
Okay,
Park. Yeah. It's really
We had that
small.
clarified.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
That's not accurate. Technically, any sports fields and parks with water are also off limits.
Okay. So like Century West. Nobody's going to Century West.
Century West, also Veterans Park, because of the soccer.
Yeah, anywhere that we have practicing at Veterans, Century, Yellowstone Park, which we maintain. I believe that's it off the top of my Kiwanis. So they're pretty much all still used by dogs, but outside the law.
On a side note, I think the cemetery crew does an amazing job keeping the place just looking spectacular.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and I think we may have some challenge in differentiating the folks who let their dogs run wild, which clearly has become an issue in that particular area of town, and folks walking their dogs are two separate issues. And the last time I checked, animals are not great respecters of city ordinance. So it is likely that some of the issues that we have are from dogs who are just let to run because they're going to go where they're going to go. But it is challenging to try to differentiate. You know, I don't think we have a budget for the chief to do any DNA analysis of doggy doo. But maybe that could be a tomorrow topic. Does anyone else have any comments or questions for her? No? Okay, thank you so much.
Job I'm going to put in for.
Fair.
Thank you all.
Yeah. We'll get you that fancy new lab yet. Okay, who else would like to address this evening?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council, for letting us speak. We're here because we were told that someone had filed a complaint about the wall in the green room of the Broadway being defaced with graffiti.
Sir, could you identify yourself, please?
What's that?
Could you identify yourself, please?
Oh, Roy Hanson, I'm sorry. I'm the Vice President for the Actors Mission.
Thank you.
Anyway, we were told that someone had complained about it, and we just wanted to know if the city was going to be painting that over and why.
That is correct, and I would actually pose a counter question because I am very familiar with that particular action being a normative part of theater culture. There are, however, lots of cultures that exist, and my stance on this, and it can be allowed by decision of the mayor, and certainly the council could choose to take up an ordinance around this, but municipal property should not be marked, largely due to the fact that if we allow people to make markings, we don't have ability to regulate what they write. And my question to y'all would be if a bunch of kids who are really heavily into skateboarding, where, you know, tagging buildings is a strong part of their culture, were to come to the Broadway Theater and spray paint it, would that be okay?
I would think, just like the murals that are around town or any of that sort of thing, it's still art. Okay. The signatures, to me, are still part of the art that the performers put on in the theater. It's a part of the history of the theater. Some of the local bands that Zam Trip and Atlas Falls have signed it, they are pretty well known around the state. So it's kind of I think, an homage to people that have come before and put on performances and entertain the community.
I agree if it were a private facility, but it's a municipal facility. So
do they run public tours through the green room down there?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
If I go into a supply closet here in City Hall and write something that's not appropriate because this is public property, and so that has been my direction, is to paint over it. I'm more than open to ideas to preserve that history. We had a mural that had to be demolished, and steps were taken to preserve record of it. And I certainly don't have any issue outside of municipal buildings, right? So at the Actors Mission, I think it's a wonderful thing to do. I also would not allow the players on the Grizzlies team to sign our locker room. And that is not a public space. It's a space that's provided to them for their use, but it's public property. And I don't believe that public property should be used in that manner.
No, I guess all we have to stand on is theater tradition, so in that vein, I guess. You guys have any comments you'd like to put in?
One thing.
All right.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Respectfully. I have absolutely no problem with your stance on municipal buildings. It's accurate. It's the law. I support it 100%. However, I do have a anecdote that I will try to keep brief, if you'll allow me. In 2019, unfortunately, I was very nearly one of those statistics in Rock Springs until a good friend of mine, Danielle Thompson, longtime Actors Mission contributor and actor, urged me to audition for a play at the time called The Nerd, directed by Tom Zulsdorf, another friend of mine. I was hesitant at first. I thought, yes, I love actors. I love acting. That's not me. That's not for me. She urged me to try out anyway, and luckily I was invited in, allowed to share the stage and play pretend with some really amazing people who reached out and gave me that lifeline that I desperately needed. And in doing so, helped me prevent a life-changing mistake. I'm not trying to play on your heartstrings here, just letting you know the facts. My signature is on that wall twice now because of a really good friend who went through something terrible, saw something in me and urged me to go. I'm not saying that that was the cure, but it definitely did help me. And the evidence is quite literally written on the wall. So whatever you guys decide to do, I have no ill will towards the council, definitely not towards you, Your Honor. I just thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing your story.
Hello, my name is Caleb Smith. I've been a resident of Rock Springs for more than 18 years. When it comes to the wall, we recognize that you're bound by the city policy that's in place. Like many traditions, not exactly sure when it started, who did it first, but there has been a cumulative effect over the years. Having been in there just for the show that was this past weekend, I'll admit I was tired. I just couldn't quite count how many examples of different shows, let alone individual people. What I would just say tonight is that if there's some way that we could work with the city to try to preserve this space, whether that's figuring out some bylaws that would be able to have that would allow us to be able to continue to use that space and add to it, like the community theater scrapbook that it's become. I'll admit that I was one of the people signing the wall this past Saturday, and I had some mixed feelings because I had the usual thrill of just had a great show, and I'm watching friends and other performers that they're happily adding to the record. And I'll admit there was some bittersweetness too, knowing that it could be gone in a few weeks. And as we admit, that's the city council's prerogative. We're just here trying to be part of the ongoing effort to promote the community, promote theater, and the positive impact it continues to have in Sweetwater County and beyond.
Thank you. And as a point of clarification, this particular issue, it falls under the mayor's office's purview.
Okay.
So they're not responsible for this one. This was all me, for good or for ill. And I will share that I am a huge fan of theater. My next door neighbor growing up was the neatest little old lady. Her name was Peggy on the Green. And she used to take me with her to the community theater performances when I was, 6, 7 years old. The issue for me is that as a municipal building, our options in terms of allowing people to write or not write are very black and white. If some group rents the Broadway Theater and they write something that is deeply offensive to the community, right, or to a segment of the community, we don't have the option of painting over just that section. As a private facility like the Actors Mission, you absolutely have that right, but the government is constrained from restricting people's expression, which I think you've seen the council and I be very supportive of people's right to their artistic expression. And I think that's something we all feel very strongly about. But writing on a municipal building, we have lots of people who come here and give public comment and share very personal stories. Why don't they sign their names to the wall? Because it's not appropriate to do. And again, if the council feels differently, they certainly can approach me about an ordinance change, and I would be open to having that conversation. But until then, and I think it would be wonderful to preserve it in photographs and say, hey, here's where we were, this is what we were doing. And I have discussed and rejected the idea of bringing an ordinance forward that would change it from with mayor's permission to just absolutely not. Because I recognize that I will not be here forever, and times change and perspectives change. And so I don't want to try to limit future folks and make it more difficult for them. But that is my sort of belief on this particular issue. But I do appreciate you coming forward and sharing with us your feelings. And if the council has thoughts or questions for you, I'd be open to them and sharing them.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
I'm about ready to open up a can of worms. I may have to borrow Miss Zucchelli's alternate ego of I Plead the Fifth. My name is also on that wall from a play that I was in 2 years ago. A few years back, I went to Seattle and placed chewing gum on a famous wall under a bridge in Seattle. A few years before that, I went to the Eiffel Tower and saw just thousands and thousands of etchings and scratchings of names in the Eiffel Tower. One that stuck out to me was Green Day Saved My Life. And I'm also aware of a particular wall where in my former days as a police officer, I may have written my name as achieving a certain score in firearms. That's city property. That was my doing because I was the firearms instructor at the time. I think that we need to be able to find a balance. There's a difference between somebody vandalizing a piece of property and somebody putting up maybe their name, the name of a play that they were in, or some performance to give homage to the event. You meet people in theater and music, any of the arts that touch you, and you meet new people and you want to share that with them. So just for my 2 cents, I would be for keeping that tradition going at the Broadway Theater. That's my 2 cents.
Your Honor. Yes. I understand the tradition and all. The issue for me is, again, it's government property. We can't control what's said and done. If we allow for one, we need to allow for all. Your comment on it being art or vandalism, I think that can be very subjective.
Sure.
One man's art is another man's vandalism or trash. And so you're putting a governing body in a position to make that call of what's art and what's not. There's possible discrimination in closing out certain groups because of what they have to say or what they want to say. So I do fall more on the side of where the mayor's coming from. And it's all, you allow it for everybody or you don't at all, unfortunately. If we open it up for the green room, I don't see why we wouldn't open it up for the rest of the building or allow anybody else to go in the green room. If they wanted to, it's public property, it's a public building. Joe Blow off the street should be able to go in and just sign his name. And so that's what we're opening there, I believe. And it's hard to, we are a government entity, it is a municipal building. If it was private property, have at it, do what you wish, and you have a lot more control over that than what we would have. We have to be there for the public and the general public use of that property, so.
All right, Your Honor, so to continue with my can of worms, does political speech fall on that? So if I decide I want to hang a flag on city property, and I'm saying that's my art, you're going to have me take that down? I mean, like I said, there's got to be able to be a balance found to be able to see the difference between an homage or an honor of something and vandalism. I think there is a gray area in there that we can find some.
The difficulty lies in drawing the lines. And so at our next council meeting, we'll be having a conversation around signage that is prompted by one person's particular view of political speech. And my hope is that we find a way to navigate through that that does not result in a lot of harm to the community. I can, from my perspective, if we're saying we're okay with this, then if kids go over to the tank at Veterans Park and spray paint the tank, that's their culture, that's their art, and that is the issue. Who are we to say it's not? And so the most effective remedy that we have as a governing body, and that I'm authorized to do, is to say, you're not allowed to. So I would say, if, you know, officers are down there writing on our wall, I'd be like, no, guys, like, we'll get you a plaque, right? There are things that we can do. There are other ways. There are signature books. There are other ways to participate in that tradition that don't involve writing on the wall. And so I don't see this as a binary, either we completely throw out theater culture and tradition and just say, you know, hey, although I would argue that all of the value out of watching and participating in theater does not rest upon the signature on the wall. And that's a false dichotomy to say that if we can't put our name on the wall, we lose out on all of this. And I can tell you, I've been to several places with the bubblegum walls, and I've never put gum up because I'm sort of horrified by that idea. And I don't remember, was it in Italy?
It's different than taking it off.
Right, yeah, yeah. Was it Italy where they had the bridge with all of the locks?
Yes.
And they had to remove all of them because it was damaging the property. There are differences between private and public. And if you guys at the Actors Mission have a green room with signatures, I would love to see it. I think it's cool. I think it's great. Municipal facilities are different, and we hold them in trust for the entire public, which means that if there is one member of the public who objects to something that's been written, we've failed in our duty. Sir, if you'd like to address this, please come forward and identify yourself. Nina, are you gonna?
Yeah, if I can.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's public comment. You each get a turn.
I appreciate the opportunity. My name is Nina Tyler. I am also on the board of directors for Actors Mission. And I understand and I appreciate what your position is, Mayor. I would just like, maybe for future consideration then, the tradition of signing the wall pertains not to who signs it, but where it is. So the signatures that are on the wall have nothing to do, like you say, if I can't sign my name, I don't personally care about the wall. I don't sign the wall. I don't care. I don't care that my name's up there. But kind of what is true is the opposite of what you are saying. Members of the public, of this community, signed that wall. When the Broadway Theater was renovated, it was to be a performance space. We were asked to perform there, and so many others have. And it has nothing to do with Actors Mission or any other performance. It has to do with preserving the venue and honoring the actual venue for what it has become. That is the difference between a theater and a locker room. So when you go and you sign the wall, and if you are interested, I don't know if you guys have been down there lately. I did bring some pictures of some things so that you can see. I don't know when we started signing the wall. I don't even think it was Actors Mission Production that did it. I think it was someone else, and then we thought, yeah, that's tradition. We're going to do it too. Okay? But the fact of the matter is it's been going on for years, and there has never been any profanity. There has never been any vulgarity. What there is the name of the production and the cast, the name of the performer, Dino Light, whoever comes through, Elton John guy, you know, all of the people. They take the time to sign the wall. So if there is an exception that can be made or an ordinance that can be changed, it would seem to me to be fairly straightforward and simple to do for this particular venue. Not saying it's art. I'm saying it's a historic record of the importance of the Broadway theater, which is something that the community itself wanted. And I don't believe, respectfully, that if one person takes offense, we have failed. Because you've made good for all of those people whose names are on the wall by building the place where we can do what we do for the community that we do it in. So I would just like to thank you for letting me address and say those comments. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. One final thing that I would share. I very much appreciate all of you because you're very clearly invested in theater and the arts coming down here. What I've not heard is any objections from the URA director or board. And so it is interesting to me that none of them have felt compelled to come speak to us, where it clearly is a significant issue for all of you. And so I very much appreciate your feedback, and I certainly will take that into consideration.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
If I could just suggest one more possibility that may not change anything. There is a Broadway committee that has members from local theater groups, Actors Mission, Upstage Theater Company, Horizon Theater, Starling Company, representatives from the local college and high schools. There's a lot of talented, smart, driven people with that. Perchance we could ask them to maybe have just a little bit of time to research what do other communities do. I'm sure you are not the first one to have had to wrestle with this. I'm not saying we'll be able to find a lot or something that will be convincing one way or another. But that is a resource that you can direct toward this issue if you would consider. Thank you.
I'd be happy to hear from them. Nobody's showing up tomorrow with a paint roller, right? It's government, so things move slowly. So I'm still unconvinced that it's appropriate, but I would be happy to have that input.
All right. And I didn't mention I am on the member of there are multiple members of that board here tonight, even if we didn't necessarily identify ourselves as such.
Very good. Thank you. Okay. Thank you all. Well, I was going to see who's next for public comment, if you'd like to come forward.
I'd like to make a comment on this.
But you've got to come forward and give public comment.
Okay, really fast, super fast. My name is Shirley Ann Sukeli, and I did see your name on there. It's pretty cool. Anyway, I looked at it and I saw what it looked like, and it was sad. I think, to me, it destroyed the wall. And I think if you would have, if they would have just printed the name, but you've got all the pictures, take those pictures, take them to the senior citizens, take them around and let everybody see them and say, hey, is this appropriate? Is this okay? They pay taxes, hard-earned, back-breaking taxes. And this is what we get for it? But I see where they're coming from. I can understand that they want to preserve something. I think the albums would be fantastic. Or if you would have just done just the art and just this, but it's like this. And you're leaving a lot off. Well, the mayor has the pictures so you could see them. But like I say, Max, Councilman, I think the people of this town should decide whether it should be. And if they say yes, it should be, then that's the way it is. If they say no, that's the way it is. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Your Honor, one more thing I just wanted to kind of throw out there. I know that there are certain entities around the city that will go to your home and offer to spray paint a particular number or a sports insignia or a school thing on a sidewalk. What's the difference? They're putting paint on a city sidewalk, yet we're donating money to give them so they can paint 307 or Cowboys or Tigers or whatever it may be. And I'm not against those things. I think those are great things for the community. But it's the same. So are we going to paint all those?
I suspect a lot of those sidewalks are private property. But the city doesn't...
Well, the city makes me pay if I want to replace one of them. So I think that
They're private.
Paul, who do the sidewalks belong to?
Your Honor, Counsel, The sidewalks mostly, it varies, but are in the city right away. But they are the responsibility of the property owner. So they may exist on city property, but the maintenance, upkeep, shoveling them, and that is the property owner's responsibility.
But
So
the city also
essentially,
pays half of that replacement cost, correct? If a sidewalk has to be replaced?
if they participate in that program, yes.
So it would be also
And
city
that was
property.
an incentive set up years and years ago to incentivize people to maintain their sidewalks because they were not maintaining them. And so the city set up the sidewalk replacement program to assist them to improve the sidewalks throughout our community.
And for clarity's sake, when you say sidewalks, you're speaking of the section that runs along the street, not the section that runs from my property to my front door.
Correct.
What about the curbing itself? Is the curbing considered part of the sidewalk? Because that's usually where these things are spray painted.
Mine
Now,
are.
addressing
They always-
is actually allowed on the curbing. So if they're painting numbers, so your street address, that is actually a legal thing to place on the curb. The tiger paws and that kind of stuff, I've never seen one on the curb. It's usually on the sidewalk or on somebody's driveway or wherever, but actual addressing is actually allowed.
And I would be
on the curbing.
more than comfortable directing those organizations to apply them only to the private sections of sidewalks and driveways rather than along the walking path sidewalk that's in place. And like I said, hopefully y'all will reach out to the Broadway committee, and I'm more than happy to sit down and visit with them. But when it comes to, and I've received quite a bit of criticism for this, when it comes to applying rules, I'm a big believer in doing so, one, in a way that is constitutional, and two, in a way that treats everybody the same, right? So their particular motivations or beliefs are not my business. How the government interacts with and regulates them is my business. And it's my job to ensure that I don't pick winners, right? And I think a lot of people could make the argument that participation on a sports team is hugely important in their life, and that it is a part of their history, and like that very similar arguments could be paralleled. And I would also tell them no. So I look forward to hearing from them. And like I said, no one showing up tomorrow with a roller. So nobody panic. Maybe there's a via media that we can find that solves this issue for everyone in an appropriate way. And we will be having a very in-depth conversation on September 17th that has been prompted by a gentleman using the flagpoles that belong to the chamber, that are private property, to display his political speech in an area that is a historical public forum. And so it is essentially the most protected space for political speech. And the implications of that and how we as a governing body can address it to see if, because it is inappropriate and wrong for him to use that private property in that way. And so we're going to tackle that issue as well. So maybe we'll be revisiting this one too. Okay, is there anyone else who'd like to visit with us this evening?
Max City Councilman, my name is Shirley Ann. I don't have to give you my last name because Tim already gave it, so you know who I am. I'm only here for a few questions because there's a big problem. As you know, I don't know if you city councilmen know that me and Tim had a conversation in the mayor's office, and it was questions People are thinking that I got something on him, something that I'm trying to do to him and stuff like that. And I tried to tell him, no, I'm not. It was just questions. It was the questions on when he said on corruption. What corruption? I mean, there's all kinds, you know. And so that's what it went on, and we talked about that. We talked about the former police department, and is that not true? And police officer, and it was a great conversation. I asked you questions about you. Is that not true?
It's true.
And it was great. It was absolutely super. And the thing is, Max, is as you realize, you sat in that, well, I asked to sit in your desk, you know, and we sat there together. You know, we really was talking, and we were getting things out. The questions were coming and stuff, okay? And then I didn't tell you all that secret detective said, but what he said about you was that you were a good detective, you were smart with all this other stuff, that you were smart, but you got with the wrong people. You let me, is it not true that you let me see your,
My personnel file.
There you
Yes,
go.
I did.
It's true, huh? And it was great. Max, it was great. There was a lot of good things in it. And I saw the other side of Tim. And the only thing, Tim, that I had a little problem with is you worked for this city for 28 years and you only had one write-up over a tire. So it kind of made me think, okay,
I don't think that you went through the entire thing, but if I can address her, Your Honor.
No, have the floor.
Very often, negative write-ups have a time period that they stay in a P file. And so when a supervisor says this write-up will be in a P file for a period of 1 year, when that year comes along, those are typically purged. So that one that you saw was meant to be in my permanent P file. So that's probably the only one. But you didn't look through the entire file.
You didn't let me.
I gave you the file. I went through, I handed you the pieces of paper in the file. Okay. And if you wanted to see it, you saw it. So, I mean, Shirley, I think that it's pretty rare that anybody gets open access to a police officer's personnel file.
Very true.
I think that to the extent that I went to try to show you an effort of transparency was probably above and beyond what most people would do. And I did not hold anything back from you. We were limited by maybe the amount of time that it took you to go through stuff. But I think I did everything that I could to show you how transparent I could be. The accusations that you made towards me were essentially that I achieved whatever position that I had based on some corruptness in the police department.
What?
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
This is digressing again.
Yeah.
I would
Okay, so let's just
respectfully
finish
ask
that.
We let her move on.
There
to the
is
next
two,
question.
thank you. There is two questions that I was asked to ask you. Why did you secretly tape record me and Max? What was the reason?
Shirley, historically, you have been known to cherry pick facts or details, and I wanted a record of what you and I discussed.
Why didn't you say, Shirley, hey, let me tape record this, because this is how I feel. You know what I would have said to you? Go right on.
Okay,
That'd be
well, I didn't,
awesome.
and I'm not required to by state statute.
No, and I understand that because I took a course with claimant and investigation, criminal investigation. Yeah, anybody can do it. It don't matter. But may I ask you one more question? I did not know, Max did not know that you secretly tape recorded us. Is that true?
That's true.
Okay. What's the last question I asked you that we found out that you secretly tape recorded us?
I don't understand your question.
Okay. It was time for a city council meeting, and you had mentioned, I know you're not going to say you did, but you mentioned maybe I could have done something. And then I asked you a question, and that's when you flew up and you came around, and that's when I found out that you secretly tape recorded this conversation. What was the question that I asked you that made you so mad?
Specific question, Shirley.
Okay, here's the question. The question is, did you ever use coke?
Oh yeah, you asked me
And
that
that's
and
when
marijuana.
and that was the last
And the answer
question,
that I gave you
and
was
that's
no.
how
Your
we
Honor?
found out.
Yeah.
frankly, this has gone far enough.
Oh, I'm
Nothing that
sure.
she has said so far has anything to do with city business. And we cannot sit here and listen to her grill one of our council members over things that have absolutely nothing to do with city business or with false accusations of corruption.
False?
So
Frankly,
listen, okay, everyone, whoa.
Well, hey, how about the tape recorder? Why don't he let
No,
everybody hear
here's
the tape
thing.
recorder?
Here's the thing. I am certainly willing to give Councilman Robinson the latitude to listen and respond as he chooses. If he's done, we can move on to any other business you have to discuss because he is under no obligation to answer.
But the thing that I don't understand, can you tell me this? Councilman, come on, tell me this. He can do that and it's okay. He's a city councilman. I did nothing wrong. You know, I didn't start it. He's the one that wanted to see me. He's the one we sat there, and the questions I asked him was not saying that you did it. And I can prove it by your tape recorder, but we'll just leave it at that.
Thank you.
But there's one thing I need to tell you, Tim, okay? Don't get smart with me when it comes that I talk about people that were murdered. And you did. You smarted off, and that's when this all started. Don't do it again. Thank you, Max.
Okay,
You
very
can
good.
laugh all you want, Beckwith.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate your permission.
Is anybody else like to address the council this evening? Okay, we're going to say that's 3 times and move on to bills and claims. For September 3rd, 2024, council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilwoman Demas?
I make a motion to approve bills and claims for September 3rd, 2024.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Abstaining. Abstaining.
Okay, the motion carries with Councilors Pedri and Thompson abstaining, bringing us to the salaries for August 22nd, 2024. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilwoman Demas?
I make a motion to approve the salaries for August 22nd, 2024.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Abstaining. Abstaining.
Okay, the motion carries with Councilors Thompson and Pedri abstaining. Taking us to new business, we have one item this evening, a request for a malt beverage permit from the Actors Mission for Oktoberfest 2 on September 21st, 2024, from noon until 10 p.m. at Bunning Park. I thought they might stick around for that part. Is there a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demas?
I make a motion to approve this request.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Thompson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, bringing us to our resolutions. The first up is Resolution 2024-117, which we tabled on 8/6/2024. I would look for a motion to remove this from the table.
Your Honor.
Councilor Zadi?
I'd move to remove Resolution 2024-117 from the table.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Patola. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Okay, the motion to remove it from the table carries unanimously, and now I would look for a motion to amend the resolution.
We need to read the resolution.
Mayor, councilors, that's correct. The next motion that would come would be a motion to amend. I've provided you with a proposed amended ordinance. Throughout the discussion of the resolution, it appears that there is some desire on the part of the mayor and some members of the council to extend the period of time for which we will offer insurance to retirees from 5 to 10 years. And also, there's a need to clarify the resolution to show that we will cease offering insurance to all retirees after December 31st, 2034. And so if you're comfortable with that proposed amendment, I think that there could be a motion to accept the amended resolution as presented to the council. And if you accept that amendment, then afterwards we would have after you've accepted the amendment, a motion to accept the amended resolution. Okay?
Okay. Are we good? Yep. Okay. So then I would look for a motion to amend the resolution.
Your Honor.
Councilor Zadi?
I will move to amend the resolution to read as follows. Changing section 1 to beginning January 2025, qualified city retirees under the age of 65 will continue to be eligible for the city health insurance benefits for no more than 10 years, and the city will cease offering health insurance benefits to retirees 65 and older. The city will no longer offer health insurance benefits for retirees after December 31st, 2034.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Bartolo. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor.
Councilor Hickerson.
Matt, does this meet all your wants as far as the insurance board goes?
Your Honor, Councilor Hickerson, it's really just the desire of the insurance committee. I really don't have any wants.
But does this meet the committee's wants on the being able to end retirement at some point for retirees?
I believe the committee was fine with extending it. So I think my understanding was the bigger concern with the committee was the Medicare eligible retirees, having them pay an additional amount as a Medicare carve out to have us as our secondary insurance. We didn't feel after consulting with our consultant that that was the proper way to go.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
If I could, just to explain and maybe help everyone understand, it's out there. What this does is for those who are looking to retire the way we had it before, if they were 5 years or going to retire 5 years or sooner, this would not impact them. But if somebody was at 6 or 7 years and they're planning to retire and they're factoring in the cost of insurance for that, it wouldn't really, in 5 years' time, we didn't give them enough time to really adjust their plans to where they were financially secure enough with insurance and that. So what this is going to do is extend that to 10 years, which would give those looking to retire within that time frame more time to plan accordingly. And that's kind of basically what we're looking to do, is help those that are close to retirement in planning for their retirement in their future.
Your Honor, I don't want to speak for the entire committee. The 5 years was put in there really for discussion purposes and to, when we send it out to see, if there was any issues with it. And it's your all prerogative to decide on the timeframes and everything. So.
Yeah, and the idea of the 10 years, as Councilor Zadi said, is really, we have people who, have chosen to make their career in the city, and our retirement package and approach has been a part of their decision. And so to change it with such a short time frame doesn't give them the opportunity to go back 10 years and choose to work somewhere else. Right? So it's been a part of the contributing factor to their longevity to the city, which has huge value. And so by extending it to 10 years, we've provided enough cushion that if somebody really wants that, they can look for work somewhere else and get vested into that retirement program. Is there any further discussion?
Your Honor, with that being said, it's nice to see that we're taking that into consideration for the people that have worked hard for us over the years. And with insurance as big of an issue it is in this day and age, I think this is appropriate.
Very good. Okay. Seeing no further discussion, I will ask for a vote on the amendment to the resolution. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Now I entertain a motion to approve the resolution as amended.
Your Honor.
Councilor Zadi.
I'd move to approve Resolution 2024-117 as amended.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilor Demas, thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, taking us to our first new resolution of this evening, 2024-131.
A resolution accepting and approving a general service contract, existing customer, additional capacity between Rocky Mountain Power, an unincorporated division of Pacific Corp, and the City of Rock Springs for electric service for the irrigation system operation at or near 1301 Clubhouse Drive, and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the City of Rock Springs and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the City of Rock Springs to execute said contract on behalf of said city.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Bertolo. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, taking us to Resolution 2024-132.
A resolution accepting and approving an agreement between Rock Springs Grizzlies LLC and the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, to execute said agreement on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hanson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, bringing us to Resolution 2024-133.
A resolution accepting and approving a memorandum of understanding between the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and the Rock Springs Amateur Hockey Association, and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, to execute said memorandum of understanding on behalf of said city.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor.
Councilor Hickerson?
I'd move to approve Resolution 2024-133.
Thank you. I'd like to pretend my ears could differentiate with that kind of distance, but it was just a guess. Is there a second?
I'll take the second.
Thank you, Councilor Hanson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, bringing us to Resolution 2024-134.
A resolution accepting and approving a water pass-through agreement between the City of Rock Springs, the White Mountain Water and Sewer District, and the Green River Rock Springs Sweetwater County Joint Powers Water Board, and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk to execute said agreement on behalf of the City of Rock Springs.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demas?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-134.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining?
I'll be abstaining from this resolution. We have some ownership in the second subdivision of Sweetwater Station.
Thank you. Motion carries with Councilor Pedri abstaining, bringing us to our final resolution of this evening, 2024-135.
A resolution accepting Amendment 1 to the grant agreement between the State of Wyoming Department of State Parks and Cultural Resources, State Historic Preservation Offices, and the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, to execute said preservation covenant on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilor Robinson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. That takes us to our ordinances. First up this evening is Ordinance 2024-10, which is on its third reading, so we will look for action on this ordinance.
An ordinance amending Section 1604C of the ordinances of the City of Rock Springs entitled Adopting the Personnel Policies and Procedures Relating to City of Rock Springs Employees and Adopting Revised Personnel Policies.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demas?
I make a motion to approve Ordinance 2024-10.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, if you will please run us through a roll call vote.
Councilor Pedri,
Yes.
Demas,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Batolo,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Zadi,
Yes.
Hickerson,
Yes.
Mayor Mickelson.
Yes. Okay, motion carries unanimously, bringing us to resolution or ordinance 2024-11, which is on its second reading.
Repealing Section 4, 416 of the ordinances of the City of Rock Springs entitled Minors in the Cemetery.
Thank you. Council, is there any commentary?
Your Honor.
Councilor Hickerson?
As pertaining to this, I haven't received near as many actions on the others. I have had a couple people actually talk to me just out and about, and they're worried. I know some people might consider it art, but young kids later in the evening maybe defacing some of the headstones, and I guess it worries them that we're getting ready to take away the only teeth we have to react to some of these issues. And the same with the dogs, but I'll talk to this one specifically for now.
Fair enough. Anyone else?
Your Honor.
Councilor Zloty?
I would think if kids are gonna go into face headstones, they're gonna do it on the ordinance.
I agree.
Kind of one of those things that, yeah.
And for the record, I wouldn't consider that art.
Right, very good.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
I still think even by allowing this, we still would keep the curfew ordinance and the destruction of property. They could, still enforced, which would take care of the people that have bad intentions when they go into the cemetery.
Well, I think there are, and I could be incorrect on this, but quite a few, or at least a number of kids who currently use the cemetery to walk from Walnut to their houses, and that's a very safe space for them to be walking through. So, I mean, there are other considerations. And it always goes back to, are we making ordinances targeted towards the minority that are kind of creeps anyway? Or are we trying to make ordinances that apply to the most people who are decent? So, okay. And then our final ordinance of this evening is 2024-12, which is also on its second reading.
Amending Section 407 of the ordinances of the City of Rock Springs entitled Rules and Regulations to be Enforced.
Very good. Any comments here?
Your Honor.
Councilor Hickerson?
I've received a lot of comments on this one. Very few for it, oddly. Seeing as how everybody called me because they liked the egg proposition, but evidently dogs in parks is a no-go for most of the people getting a hold of me.
And I have the opposite. Everybody wants them. And I live by the cemetery.
I've had about half and half.
I've had one pro, two pro now with public comment, and the rest have been strongly opposed, usually based on I have a loved one there and the thought of a dog.
Yes.
I wish there was some good way for us to track which is just dogs running amok, and what is actually people walking their dogs. I suspect a lot of the messes come from the dogs that have just been let to run. And no matter what we do with the ordinance, they're still gonna do that. We have a whole separate set of ordinances to address that particular issue.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Along those lines, I've talked with the sexton up at the cemetery, and I've also spoke with animal control about possibly permitting people to do it and letting people walk their animals along with a permit. They could do that along with licensing the animals to be licensed and then also permitted, which would give the animal control and the cemetery people some bite as far as whether or not people are in or out. We would also know who was doing it. I believe the people that are walking in there are being very responsible and very respectful, although I do also see the reverence of having thousands of family members and grave sites and stuff up there, and keeping that area sacred and reverent, like I said. That if they're being respectful and doing it, it doesn't seem to be a problem for the cemetery people, and animal control is not adverse to something along those lines.
I think that's an excellent suggestion. So we'll take that up between now and the next council meeting. I like that approach because it gives us a much tighter control over who's wandering through. And then the folks who are being responsible will already have licensed dogs, and it wouldn't be too burdensome to ask for that additional permit. Okay, very good. Council, we're at council updates. Anything you'd like to share with us?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I had a constituent reach out to me about could the city possibly put together or allow a community garden look for a half an acre, an acre, something like that, set up with water to become a community garden. And I told him that I would bring it up before the council, and maybe we could have a committee to investigate the possibility.
Yep, for sure.
We had one on M Street in the corner there, community garden, right at the underpass across from there.
Okay.
It didn't go well. But that could be a location issue. That's why I looked over at Mr. Seaverud. There's got to be a half acre just laying fallow at Garnet.
Maybe a park that
Cemetery.
Turn into a garden.
Your Honor, so yeah, obviously this would be something we'd want to talk to staff about, but I guess, I don't know, the area that might be identified by our park superintendent or possibly Wataha, I don't know. But yeah, the need for irrigation and controlling that, and there would be a lot of ins and outs, but I would want to visit with them before I gave somebody a.
I indicated to the guy that, hey, the city doesn't have the money to put anybody, to watch over this thing. It would strictly have to be on a voluntary basis.
Right, yeah, I've seen community gardens in other cities that have been really positive, mostly inner cities, so it's built around that. But I would have to learn a lot on the subject, plus talk to staff, but I could definitely report back on anything I find, for sure.
But it's definitely worth exploring.
I'll let him know.
Okay.
What is the status of the one on M Street? Is it?
Isn't it a
gone.
putt-putt?
No, that's
It's a rock garden.
yeah. The putt-putt's on Fifth Street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they've got a mini library.
At one time.
So, because it was right there on the
Yeah.
corner.
And then one other, I had a constituent call me about turning H Street into a one-way because of where H and McCabe come together. The steep hill in the wintertime causes havoc for those people that climb that or try to.
Your Honor, we'll take a look at it.
Thank you. Okay.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Before you adjourn real quick, I know it's gone long, I want one quick.
Thing, so I'm not adjourning yet.
One quick thing that I wanted to bring up was that we mentioned the URA earlier tonight, and the fact that they've been doing a good job cleaning up downtown, and the efforts that they've made to keep downtown clean and looking good. I wanted to give them a shout out, let them know that that was a good thing going also.
A wonderful job. I just wish that their pots were bigger so that people wouldn't drive over them. I don't know. I think if you all saw that, that was the wildest. I mean, that is a huge pot to just, oops, I missed it. So I'm going to assume that somebody had a good time at a bar. But that is fully an assumption on my part. But there's two little things that I've got. One, I'd like to congratulate Councilor Robinson. It's his anniversary today, and he is here with us. So, and I mean, fair. That is fair. And then I'd also like to congratulate Councilor Batolo on his recent nuptials. So congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
9:06, we're adjourned.